10th of January, 1843. My dear Edgar, a very happy new year to you, my friend. I trust you passed a pleasant festive season, and I wish you every prosperity and felicity for the year ahead. I thank you most sincerely for your verses and for your kind letter. The poems are exquisite. I could distinctly perceive our forest shining through them, and that air of melancholy which ever seems to linger about the hidden burial ground. Edgar, I do hope you are faring well at home, and that you're taking proper care of yourself, eating as you ought, and keeping your spirits from sinking. Yours is, I know, a solitary life, and when you first arrived here, there was a look in your eyes that filled me with such sorrow for you. Yet when you departed, there was a light within them, a sparkle, and I so dearly hope it has not dimmed. But pray be truthful with me, dear Edgar. Father sends his regards and best wishes. Aunt Geraldine also called upon us, accompanied as ever by old August, the black cat. She goes nowhere without him. She remains as severe as ever, though she speaks of you with genuine fondness. She bade me enclose this feather to you, for it once belonged to Jupiter. He visits Aunt Geraldine and Auguste from time to time, and left this feather upon the windowsill. She felt certain it was meant for you, a token of hope and reassurance that none have forgotten you. Indeed, how could anyone ever forget you? The reason I tell you all this, dear Edgar, is that some of your poetry has found its way into our English newspapers, the Conqueror Worm in particular. And upon reading it, I felt such a pang of sorrow for you. At first, I was filled with pride to see your work in print, reaching even our little village. The townsfolk were astonished and spoke of it with wonder, though I fear they were more dazzled by the novelty than mindful of the meaning. But I thought deeply upon it, Edgar, and the tale you wove between the lines revived that same sadness I once saw in your eyes during those early days. Pray do not imagine your life without worth. You brought light and inspiration to our quiet corner of the world, and I would grieve to think you unaware of how much you are cherished. You are very dear to me, Edgar, to us all. Forever yours, Alice. The Conqueror Worm. Lo, it is a gala night. Within the lonesome latter years, an angel throng, bewinged, bedight, in veils and drowned in tears, sit in a theatre to see a play of hopes and fears, while the orchestra breathes fitfully the music of the spheres. Mimes in the form of God on high mutter and mumble low, and hither and thither fly, mere puppets they who come and go, at bidding of vast formless things that shift the scenery to and fro, flapping from out their condor wings, invisible, woe! That motley drama, oh, be sure it shall not be forgot, with its phantom chased for evermore by a crowd that sees it not, through a circle that ever returneth in to the self-same spot, and much of madness and more of sin, and horror the soul of plot. But see, amid the mimic rout, a crawling shape intrude, a blood-red thing that writhes from out the scenic solitude. It writhes with mortal pangs, the mimes become its food, and seraphs sob at vermin fangs and human gore imbued. Out are the lights, out all, and over each quivering form, the curtain of funeral pall comes down with the rush of a storm, while the angels, all pallid and wan, uprising, unveiling, affirm that the play is the tragedy, man, and its hero, the Conqueror Worm. And that was the Conqueror Worm. It's not actually in my big book, but it was in this one. Apparently it's not a greatest work, it's just a complete work. Good job, I've got 417 versions of everything that Poe's ever written, so that's good news. I hope you enjoyed Alice's letter and Jupiter's feather that came enclosed with it. I thought that was a nice touch from Aunt Geraldine there. Okay, so thank you for joining me today. I should probably say hello for the next instalment of my interpretation of #Poevember25, hosted by Priscilla over at Release the Crafting, which is a 30 prompt challenge of 6 Edgar Allan Poe poems with 5 prompts per challenge, and I am coming on every 5 days with the latest letter between Alice and Edgar, a reading of the poem, and to show you what I've made for each prompt. So the Conqueror Worm is an analysis of human existence as a meaningless and macabre play, ending in the inevitable triumph of death, represented by the monstrous worm. And don't worry, there are no worms in my creations today. The poem uses the metaphor of a grotesque theatre to show humanity as puppets, trapped in a cycle of suffering, watched by helpless angels who can only witness the tragedy unfold. And the ultimate message is one of pessimism, portraying life as a doomed struggle where death is the only certainty and the ultimate hero. So the prompts for this poem are veil, tears, wings, puppet, and blood red. So let's start with veil. I'm just going to tidy this away, find the page because I haven't pre-found them for some reason, and I'll be back, well, in like 1 second for you. Okay, so veil then. So Poe describes life as a tragic play watched by angels, ending with the Conqueror Worm, and the veil can represent the curtain that falls at the end of the performance, death itself. So for veil, I started with a curtain, which is the veil, and if you push the veil back, it reveals this eye of a watchful angel. It's from Priscilla's kit, who knows that it's too late to do anything. And I've put this Release the Crafting piece behind as well with this quote on that says, "It was night and the rain fell, and falling it was rain, but having fallen it was blood." And then we've got this blood in the background to show the macabre ending of the play, that consequence of death. And under this blood we have more angels watching helplessly this lady who's just wandered in off the street, unaware of what she's witnessing. The veil part of the poem here on this skull, and then in the pocket we have the poem in its entirety here, which is only to be found once that veil's been lifted. And then finally this tag here, which I've backed with some paper, stuck a moth on it, so it's all kind of angels and death and watchful eyes and things that are revealed once that veil has been lifted. Okay, so let's now move on to tears. So in the poem, tears become the bridge between illusion and revelation, grief for what is and what can never be undone. And this is what I've made, just this small little page, and I've used crypt paste through a wall stencil, if you can see, and sprayed it. I took inspiration from Belle over at Bellaboo Creations, who makes these amazing walls, and then I put some kind of clear embossing down it, so if I can wiggle it and you can see coming off the light, it's supposed to make it look a bit wet in places, so it's like freshly tear stained. Then I took this page from the kit, which has a face in the sky over the sea, and I've made it so that she's crying, again with the clear embossing, and she's crying the whole sea. And then I put the tears bit of the poem here, and it says, "And drowned in tears, sit in a theatre to see a play of hopes and fears, while the orchestra breathes fitfully the music of the spheres." So I've put this music paper down here again with tear stains down it. So even though there's not much going on with this page, I actually really like it. I like the melancholy sadness that it brings out, knowing the inevitable is coming and there's nothing you can do about it. And that went a bit morbid, but maybe don't watch Poe related content if you don't want morbid. So let's move on. Next up is wings. So in the poem, the angels, all pallid and wan, sit weeping over the play of humankind, and their wings, usually symbols of freedom, here become heavy with sorrow. So I wanted to represent wings not as soaring, but drooping, ghostly and folded in deceit. So for this one, I used a Lenore spread in the background that was here already because I felt like it really showed that sorrow element of death. And then I kind of roughly drew these kind of pathetic looking wings, which are stuck to this. Hang on, let me just, here we go. Some pathetic looking wings here that are all droopy, and gave them, like, distressed them, gave them some sort of floppy ends, and I used it as the center of the page, connecting them in the middle with crypt paste, which I used my heat gun on to try and kind of burn it, which really brought out those gritty bits, which I love. I then put this flippy pocket on here with this raven drawing on it. I didn't draw it, from the kit, and then I found these words in my stash. It just says flyby, which I thought was appropriate. And then on the other side of the pocket, I've put the wings bit of the poem. You can't even see the wings bit of the poem here. And then I put this big tall tag in here, with this cute bat stretching out his little wings, and I backed it onto dark purple paper, which I gessoed on the back to be able to write on. And on the other side of the spread, I've got a couple of, can you see? Couple of angels who have basically given up all hope. So start down here. So their wings are all droopy. This one has turned to stone. I like melted the wings. And this one up here, she's given up all hope and she's rising back up to heaven. And I used my Tim Holtz wings on them. It's the first time I've used them, and I melted them with my heat tool, and it's given the page quite a bit of bulk, but I do like the effect. And doesn't this one at the top just look like she's lost all will to live at this point? So that is wings. Next up is puppets. Okay, puppets. Now this one was a stupid idea, but it's fine. Now the poem describes life as the tragedy man played out before celestial witnesses, and the actors, us, are not free. We're strings being pulled by unseen forces. So the puppet becomes the emblem of our struggle between will and inevitability. Now the conqueror worm is the true master of the stage, as death itself pulling the final strings. So for this, I decided that having rock hard plastic sticking up in the last make wasn't quite enough bulk. So I've made one of these puppet controller things out of chopsticks to add even more bulk. That was a decision I made. And now my book is massive, well, even more massive than it was before. So we've got this audience of eyeballs and creepy baby watching the show. And then up here in the corner, we have Death himself as the puppet master. But the puppet isn't a normal marionette. Oh no, it is not. It's a real man who's been taken over by darkness in his terror. And he does bounce about a little bit. There you go, like a puppet, sort of. Now I put the puppet part of the poem up here. And I actually really enjoy this page. I think it does embody the spirit of the puppet symbolism in the poem. Let me know if you think so too. It's, yeah, just a decision I made to increase the bulk of this book by about 7,000 inches. But yeah, I like it. Let me know what you think. Now the final prompt is blood red, and I know that is near the end of my book somewhere. Saying that, I'm going to spend 47 hours looking for it. Okay, bear with me, I'll be back in 1 second. I lied, it wasn't near the end, it was in the middle. So, blood red. Now the conqueror worm devours all living things, and blood is the last trace of vitality before silence. So I wanted to use red not only as colour, but as an emotion, passion, pain, sacrifice, and inevitability. The worm is the consumer of life. Its victory is soaked in crimson, the consuming of life's force. So what I have done is, firstly, I've written the entire poem out, starting relatively neat and thought out, and then as it goes on, the poem gets more urgent and bigger and scrawled, and it's like he's getting a bit mad by the end of it. I then painted over the whole thing in blood red paint, but I made it quite uneven, and I put some red embossing powder on it as well, which you can see shimmering in the light, to make it more blood-like. And then I finished by just dribbling some red paint coming from the top down, just to make it look like more blood. And that's what I did with this prompt. I just wanted it to kind of speak for itself. it's blood red. It's the poem. It's blood all over the poem, basically. So I hope you enjoyed today's makes for the Conqueror Worm. Check out the hashtag Poevember25 to see what everyone else is doing. I'll link my playlist in the description, where you can also see what I did for last year's prompts, or just check out that flip through I did at the end to a reading of the Raven. Thank you all for watching till the end. Please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you're not already. Thank you to all of you who have subscribed already. I appreciate every single one of you watching this. Let me know what your favourite make that I did today was. I'd love to know your thoughts, because they're all quite different. And I'll be back on the 20th with the next instalment. And in the meantime, and the next instalment is To the River. In the meantime, have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.